if I didn't come here, if I did not graduate from this institution and get the internship in college athletics, I wouldn't be sitting before you today as a vice president and new director of athletics. So I owe a lot to Robert Morris. When you look back and you realize, where you've come from, most people think that they've got there. No, other people along the way have helped me get to where I'm at, whether it was a young AD at UTRGV or a young associate athletic director in the SEC at Alabama. There's people that pave the path for you. And so I want to be one of those people. I became the assistant athletic director at age 25. They had an athletic director, Steve Sloan, who had been a former head football coach at Texas Tech, Duke, and Vanderbilt. And he's also been an athletic director at Alabama at one point after his coaching career ended. And he was just an incredible mentor, sort of like a second father to me. And so I was fortunate to work for him for 4.5 years. That was sort of the growing years for UCF and particularly the football program. And now, they're undefeated and they're claiming national championships. And, I was part of that foundation that helped kind of build and put that program on the rise. And so that was a great, 4.5 years experience. And then becoming a associate athletic director in the SEC at Alabama was something growing up in a town 1,800 north of Pittsburgh, I never would have ever imagined I'd move to Alabama and nevertheless work for such a storied, historic, traditional program like Alabama. And again, I wouldn't be where I was at today without working and learning and watching, observing, each of those incredible coaches and administrators. Probably the most proud job I'll ever have. I mean, just because where we were at, which was one of the worst Division I programs, and probably in the history of college athletics, to getting to a point where we were at this past year, where we had, 5 teams in the top 100 in the country in competitive excellence and number of championships and just excellent facilities. And it just was a great 10 years. It was a great time for growth for that university in that region of the country. And I learned a lot. And sometimes when you're an athletic director, and rather than being the AD at Alabama, you can do it at UTRGV. When you do make mistakes, nobody knows about it except for your president, right? So you can learn on a job, which allows me now when I come into Robert Morris to have a lot more experience and coming in knowing what to do this time around than maybe the first time when I was a young 36-year-old first-time athletic director. And but UTRGV is a special place, and I will one day look back on it as probably it may be the best job I'll ever do. So, first part of probably the first 100 days of most ADs is you're doing a lot of listening, a lot of learning, trying to absorbing as much information as you can, a lot of observation and watching. I think a lot of times if you're in a CEO position or a leadership position, you come in, a lot of them will fail quickly because they come in and just kind of throw everything at everybody, and they want to change everything and throw their vision in. And so I've been doing this now. It's my 11th year as an athletic director, so I've learned the tough way at some points. And so I think a big part of the vision is learning everything you can, and then you have to get ownership and buy-in from your department staff, from your university leadership. And so we're at about that point. When you're transitioning, sometimes your family can come and sometimes they can't. It just depends. And so my wife was senior associate vice president for development at the university where I worked at, so she needed to finish up her responsibilities. And so I had a choice. I could spend money out of my budget and live in a hotel until my wife and I get up here and we buy a house, or I can stay here on campus in Salem Hall, room 104, and I had to go out and buy a bed in a bag. Twin extra long bed. You just can't go buy it off the racks. You have to order it online. So it was going back in the days. And so I will say that the dorms are much nicer now in the 2020s than they were in the 1990s. So there are a lot of great things going on at Robert Morris. If you look at competitive excellence-wise, we had 3 conference championships last year, 1 regular season championship. That's a record for Robert Morris. Academic-wise, our athletes are just phenomenal in the classroom, and they had a 3.423 department GPA overall, which was a record, also a record with the NEC. So there's just a lot of great things that are going on in this department. And so some people may dwell on, the challenges that are out there, but those for me are more opportunities to improve. Well, I'm always excited about every team, and I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say. We have 16 sports. I think, a lot of ADs will zone in on football and basketball, right? Here it may be football, basketball, and hockey because those are our revenue sports or our probably marquee sports that are probably the ones that are most recognizable in the community, right? I'm a big believer in comprehensive excellence. I think you can be good in every sport. We did that at UTRGV. We had every team, I think, but 2 in the top 3 in the conference. So, kind of laser focus on what every single sports team will need, whether it's operational, resource-wise, backing-wise. But we do have to kind of zone in on a couple of them. One sport I'm really excited about, though, is hockey. I mean, I've never been to school with hockey. I think it's a niche sport for Pittsburgh. I think there's going to be some pretty neat things that we will put in place over the next year that I think is going to really kind of elevate both hockey programs. And there's some things I think we can do with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the marketing and brand. I think that will kind of elevate. And one thing I say is I get here and we are the only college hockey program in all of Western PA. We should be branding us as Pittsburgh's #1 college hockey team and put it everywhere, right? So that's something I think you'll see a drastic change is the marketing and branding of all the teams. We will bring the Three Rivers Classic back. We're already talking about that. It will probably be a different name, different concept. And so to me, I think there's a lot of value in teaming up with PPG Paints Arena and the Penguins and looking at a major tournament like that. The game against Penn State, right? That's something that we want to be able to get back up at the 8, 9, 10,000 attended type of games where it's kind of dipped a little bit. And so that's partly on us. That's partly on university and athletics. We need to market that game and market hockey. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And we're talking to the Penguins right now about teaming up and partnering and collaborations. And there's different ways to do that. I do think TV opportunities are plenty. I have talked to a number of the top TV personalities that I know and TV stations. And I would say that next 2020 year, we're probably going to have a lot more TV opportunities for coaches shows, for games on TV. And again, I think that's going to be part of our platform to help us elevate our competitive excellence. And so those are things that we'll look at with myself and the new chief marketing officer. Because again, that's our brand. And we want to be out there in the greater Pittsburgh region. And so, yes, to answer your question, you will see Coach Toole on TV next year for sure. This year is a little tough because, again, I'm coming in a little late. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the perceptual part of what we do, the marketing, the brand, the graphics, the facilities is a major part for us in the way people view us as a Division I program, right? Same thing with recruits when they're coming on campus and we're trying to get the best and brightest in here to compete for the Colonials. And so facilities will be a big part of it. Again, a lot of that's on my shoulders. It's on Matt Millett, the VP for Development, shoulders to raise the funds to do that. The university isn't just going to have the funds to be able to kind of do a lot of maintenance type projects on existing facilities or building new facilities, right? And so we'll spend an awful lot of time in trying to generate revenues to do that. This is an unbelievable facility, but we can still make it better. The Island Sports Center is nice, right? But we probably need another 1,000 seats. So there's, hopefully plans in place that we start talking about in renovating, that facility in the near future. But it takes funding, right? So it's going to take a lot of hard work to be able to get that accomplished. Now, the other sports programs, I can tell you, I can walk into every one of them and I've already know what I want to do to change those out. But of course, that all costs money, right? And so we'll have to do a lot of fundraising, a lot of revenue generation to be able to do those type of things over time. We'll put a facilities and deferred maintenance plan in place. And so those are things we'll go out there and we'll try to, again, solicit the funds to be able to make that happen and make it a reality. Well, NEC's been, a long-time conference for Robert Morris, right? And so I know Chris Howard says it all the time, but, how does he say this? He says, we're in the NEC until we're not in the NEC, right? What I've told our coaches is that we have to do everything well every day and get better every day. That puts us in a position then for someone to take a look at Robert Morris University and make sense for another conference, right? But until then, we're very proud, members of the NEC. We want to dominate the NEC. Right now, we're not, right? We're doing very well in some sports. In others, we need to be able to increase the resources for them to be successful. So, we had this at UTRGV last year. We opened up a new arena in the city. It was a municipality-led project initiative, and we had Oklahoma come. Lon Kruger is a alum and or Hall of Famer there at our school, at UTRGV, their school. And so it made an immediate impact in that community. Well, it's going to be the same way here. Anytime you can get a pit, they're very kind to come and open up the new arena. Heather Light, the athletic director there. And so we'll be sold out. We have plans to have a major video board out there on Nicholson Lawn for the overcrowd, for the students, for the community. Because, we'll sit, 4,800 to 5,000 standing room only. And I hope we have another 4,000 or 5,000 out there on the lawn. And so hopefully it kind of, we can pull that win off, right? And it kind of leads us into that next direction that we want to go in. Well, that's not going to change. I mean, it's still going to be free, right? That's still a free option for the students but we want them to come. We want butts and seats, right? The pit game is going to be unique, right? Because it's going to be a sellout, and you want to generate as much revenue as you can, but you want to make sure that the Colonial crazies are crazy, right? And so we have to finalize and figure out, what that's going to look like. We've set aside X amount of tickets. There'll probably be a lottery to get those tickets. And then, of course, we have another option with, over here with a major video board that we'll have. But, for other games other than Pitt, I'd love to have every student on this campus at the game. And that's my job as the athletic director, to engage.